Welcome to the Fort Lee Bridgemen Athletics stream here on YouTube. My name is Tommy Aquilina, welcoming you to the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex for some public school, high school baseball. And today, it is tournament baseball between the Fort Lee Bridgemen and the Woodridge Blue Devils. You see the home team, Fort Lee, hosting a tournament game today. They are the number 9 seed in the Bergen County tournament, hosting the number 24 seed Woodridge Blue Devils. Fort Lee wearing their sleek black home uniforms with orange numbering and lettering. Doesn't even say Fort Lee on the jerseys, just Fort. All you need to know. Meeting on the mound right now between Bradley Lee and his infielders. Looks like the outfielders got in there too. And now the Bridgemen will set themselves up defensively before the top of the first inning. We are just about set to be underway. Bradley Lee will pitch to one of the seniors and stars of this team, Luke Senator. And right now, he will be pitching to Jack Caprio. We are, in fact, underway. It's a called strike to Caprio. Let's do it today, folks. Again, opening round of the Bergen County Tournament. Fort Lee hosting Woodridge. Bradley Lee's second offering of the day is a little outside. 1-1 the count on Jack Caprio, the leadoff batter, one of the better hitters for Woodridge. Ball 2, 2-1 the count on the Blue Devils' leadoff batter, also their shortstop. Lee deals, called strike on the outside corner. The 2-2 pitch. Lined into right field. That's going to be a base hit in front of one of Fort Lee's other top pitchers today playing right field. That's Jacob Greenberg. A single for Caprio, who came into this one leading the Blue Devils in hits, singles, doubles, RBI, and runs scored. He's got another hit and single there. Leadoff batter on for Woodridge. And that'll bring up Nick Prado. Shows bunt, bunts it high in the air, winds up hitting the fencing behind home plate. 0-1 the count. Caprio does not lead the team in stolen bases, but he does have 8 on the year. According to NJ.com, no home runs and 1 triple. Woodridge does not have a lot of power. They beat you by getting lots of base runners and taking the extra base. A lot of stolen bases on this team, a lot of walks, a lot of sacrifice hits. Nick Prado's sac bunt attempt went foul. Takes strike 2 here, down in the count 0-2, with a runner on first. And Bradley Lee will step off. Caprio being held on at first base by Nico Sango, not going, and that's a foul ball. It's Sango at first, Stephen Kim at second for the Bridgemen, Luke Kim at shortstop, Jack Dorcom at third base. And then we already saw Greenberg in right field. It is Luke Senator's younger brother, CJ, in center. And Gabriel Lasval getting the start today for Pete Kraljic. He's in left field. Bradley Lee on the mound, and he drops a strike in there. That's called strike 3. Prado gets a backwards K, and that will bring up the number 3 batter for the Blue Devils. Jake Wall, first baseman and third hitter in the lineup today for Woodridge. Runner not going, and Wall swings over the top of that one. 0-1 the count on Wall, who, according to NJ.com, leads the Blue Devils in at-bats, doubles, and triples this year. His 1 triple, the only one the team has, but he swings and misses there, and it's quickly an 0-2 count. Bradley Lee actually starting a second straight game for the Bridgemen through a no-hitter just 3 days ago. That was a regular season game. That's a ball right there. It was a 5-inning Mercy Rule win over Dumont. Fort Lee swept Dumont on the year. The Bridgemen are 6-0 in division, and Lee got credit for a 5-inning no-hitter. Runner not going. Pitches. Called strike 3 again. Back-to-back backwards Ks. Jake Wall is gone, and with a runner on first, there's now 2 outs, and Nick Maybell will be the batter. M-A-B-E-L. Nick Maybell. A .340 batting average on the season. And he takes ball 1. The Blue Devils, fittingly, wearing their road blue uniforms today, with white and black being their secondary colors. Runner not going. Pitch is low. Blocked in front of the plate by Luke Senator. Should be a very interesting matchup today. Luke Senator's baseball IQ and his arm versus the speed and the daring of Woodridge. We'll see how that plays out. Right now, runner is not going. Lee's 2-0 pitch is a strike. Two won the count on Maybell, cleaning up and catching for Woodridge today. And that's ball 3. 3-1 the count on number 13 for Woodridge. Fort Lee enters this one 12-3. The Blue Devils 12-6 themselves. 3-1 pitch. Tied him up there. That's fouled off. 3-2 with 2 outs. So the runner Caprio will get a running start. Lee's payoff pitch. Grounded to first. Nico Sango not covering the runner because he was going, obviously. Sango handles it himself. Score that 3U for 3 unassisted, and we will head to the bottom of the first inning. First, we want to give a special shout-out to our Fort Lee Bridgemen Athletics sponsors, especially today for this Bergen County tournament game. The Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, the Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doru Electric, the Bridgemen Basketball Camp, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me, Connect One Bank, the Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, the Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you for tuning in on a Saturday afternoon, sunny Saturday afternoon. Not too hot, not too cold, basically perfect baseball weather here for the first round of the Bergen County tournament. For Woodridge's defense, mentioned Nick Maybell behind the plate. Infield third to first, Mike Prado, Jack Caprio, Nick Prado, Jake Wall. Jacob Metcalf in left, Nick Scalera in center, Chance Iacovino is in right field and getting DH'd for Woodridge. And Lucas Mendoza is on the mound. The right-hander, number 24, tossing some warm-up pitches now. Mendoza getting the start in this Bergen County tournament game. According to NJ.com, Mendoza 4-0 on the season, 3.16 ERA on a 7-inning scale. Remember, 7 innings, not 9. Mendoza leads Woodridge pitchers with 24 and a third innings pitched, but he is a little wild. 23 walks and 5 hit batters in those 24 and a third innings. Fort Lee batters have a tendency to be patient. So let's see if they can use Mendoza's wildness to their advantage. Or if he's able to locate the zone better today. Mendoza also batting 5th, so he'll lead off the top of the second inning, hoping that it's scoreless Heading into the second inning, Mendoza dealing with Stephen Kim right now. Then it'll be Luke Senator and Christopher Kim, 1, 2, 3 in Pete Kraljic's order. First pitch at the bottom of the first inning is a called strike on Stephen Kim. He's been one of Fort Lee's better hitters this year. First pitch clipped the outside corner. That pitch catches the inside corner quickly. 0-2, Mendoza ahead in the count. He does have 24 strikeouts in those 24 and a third innings. That's a little too far inside. Didn't clip Stephen Kim, so it's a 1-2 count. The right-hander deals, way outside. Stephen Kim, one of 2 hitters in this Fort Lee lineup, with more times getting a hit than getting recorded out. He fouls that pitch off, hitting .512 on the season, 1 home run, 16 runs batted in. Stephen Kim leads Fort Lee with 13 singles, 4 triples, and 17 runs scored. That's in only 15 team games. That pitch is low, so Stephen Kim battles from 0-2 to a 3-2 count. Infield playing way back with Stephen Kim batting as he shoots this one to right field. It's a foul ball, and it won't be caught either. Iacovino gave chase. A foul ball, so it'll be another payoff pitch from Mendoza. Fort Lee looking to strike first here in the opening round of the Bergen County Tournament. And Stephen Kim swings and misses. Maybell holds on. Swinging strikeout for Fort Lee's leadoff batter. There's one away. That'll bring up Fort Lee's other 500-plus hitter. It's Luke Senator, and he takes ball 1. What a year it's been for Luke Senator, hitting .545 on the year, 2 home runs and 10 doubles. Both those figures lead the team. He has 24 hits on the season, and in Fort Lee's most recent win over Dumont a few days ago, Senator got his 100th career varsity hit. So congratulations to him. Now he's looking to add another Bergen County win to his resume, and he's going to get that on-base percentage up even higher. He's plunked. Luke Senator already leading the team in hits and walks coming into play today. He's plunked, so he'll take first base, and that'll bring up Christopher Kim. Third straight game back in the lineup for Kim. He's DHing for Bradley Lee today, and he fouls that first pitch off. Less than 20 official at-bats this year for Chris Kim, but he's got himself a .412 batting average with 4 runs batted in. Luke Senator not going. That pitch is fouled off the other way. I think that somehow managed to avoid hitting a car in the parking lot. At least not on the fly. It's an 0-2 count on Chris Kim. Runner on first, 1 away here in the bottom of the first inning. Mendoza deals way outside. Luke Senator will not go anywhere. Despite being a catcher and controlling the other team's running game himself, Luke Senator has been known to swipe a bag or two. And knowing that, Mendoza throws over to first. He's ahead on Chris Kim 1-2. Now he's not. Ball gets away from Maybell, but not far enough away for Luke Senator to go anywhere. It's a 2-2 count. Runner on first, 1 out. Jack Dorcom is on deck for Pete Kraljic. Low. And it'll be a payoff pitch to Chris Kim. Let's see if Pete Kraljic and Fort Lee want to push the envelope here. Do they send the runner on a payoff pitch? No, they don't. Tapped to third. Nice play at third by Nick Prado. Throws to first and gets the out. That's Mike Prado at third. Nick Prado is at second. So a nice play by Mike Prado. Score that 5-3. Chris Kim is retired. Luke Senator does advance to second. So a runner in scoring position with 2 away for Dorcom. Manning the hot corner today and cleaning up for the Bridgemen. Middle infielders pinch. Mendoza deals inside to Dorcom. A .286 batting average on the year for Dorcom, 7 runs batted in, and now tied for the team lead with 1 sacrifice fly, according to NJ.com, after the most recent game. That pitch is low, gets by May Bell, and advancing to third is Luke Senator. The count on Dorcom. Check swing, did he go? Yeah, I thought so too. It's a 2-1 count. Luke Senator on third. CJ Senator is on deck. Right now, Mendoza dealing with Dorcom, and that's ball 3, 3-1. Not even close on that one. That's ball 4. Mentioned Mendoza's Wild Thing status, now with a walk and a hit by pitch, before he's recorded 3 outs. With runners on the corners and 2 away, he'll deal with CJ Senator, Fort Lee's leading RBI man, 17 of them in 15 team games. Fort Lee's center fielder swings and misses, 0-1 the count. Dorcom wasn't going anywhere. Fort Lee trying to strike first here in the bottom of the first. But CJ Senator is quickly down in the count, 0-2. Mendoza slowing things down just a bit here. Now dealing. High cheese got CJ Senator to chase. So not a clean first inning, but Mendoza strikes out 2. We'll head to the second inning. Knotted at 0 here in Fort Lee. I'm back, you're back, and Lucas Mendoza back on the field. After throwing a scoreless first inning, he leads off the top of the second inning for Mike Karsich and the Woodridge Blue Devils. He takes ball 1 from Bradley Lee. Both pitchers working quickly so far. Lee deals high, 2-0 the count on Mendoza. 5, 6, 7 due up in the Woodridge order. Mendoza showing bunt and taking ball 3, inside. Mendoza leads Woodridge pitchers in walks allowed, also leads Woodridge batters in bases on balls. And now he's got another one. 4-pitch walk from Lee, and for the second inning in a row, the Blue Devils have the leadoff man on. So that will bring up Mike Prado, getting all kinds of signs from his third base coach. We saw Prado make a nice defensive play at the hot corner last half inning. Now hitting with 1 on, nobody out. Again, we have a runner or a batter showing bunt, taking a pitch. That's outside, 5 straight balls to begin the second inning for Lee. Let's see if Prado is still trying to lay one down. He is, and that's over his head. Pulls the bat back well. And now ahead in the count 2-0. Mike Prado hitting here with no batting gloves. And taking ball 3. Prado hitting .257 on the season. No home runs, 6 RBI for the Blue Devils. But like just about every other batter in this order, he'll take his walks. Got 7 of them. Still showing bunt on 3-0. There is the first strike of the inning from Bradley Lee. Let's see if Woodridge is still content to give the Bridgemen an out. They are. Bunted pretty much right to Lee. He handles it calmly, flips it to Sango. Score that 1-3, and the runner does advance. So not an actual hit there, a sacrifice hit for Mike Prado, and that will bring up Dominic Bellini. He is Mike Karsich's designated hitter today. Again, hitting for his right fielder, Chance Iacovino. Mendoza, healthy lead off second base, called strike 1 to Bellini. Just 10 at-bats on the year, but he's hitting .600, 6 for 10 with 6 runs batted in. Lee deals. Little upstairs. The 1-1 pitch. Called strike on the lower inside part of the plate. Not really much Bellini could do with that pitch. Now he's got to protect. Swing and a miss. Not his A swing on that one. Bradley Lee has a third strikeout today. There's 2 away with a runner on second. And that'll bring up Jacob Metcalf. Another right-handed batter. Metcalf hitting .240 on the year. 4 runs batted in as he takes ball 1 low. (1-1). Mendoza doing all he can to help himself out, help his offense out, trying to distract Bradley Lee. So far, it hasn't really worked. There's strike 2. 1-2 the count on Metcalf. Luke Kim not really bothering to play around with the base runner. Base runner is going, and that pitch is tapped foul by Metcalf. Mendoza rather, no pinch runner. He's going again. Outside, Luke Senator throws it into left field. Gabe Lasval is after it, but that is how Woodridge gets on the board. Give Mendoza a stolen base, and the throwing error by Luke Senator allows Mendoza to scamper home with today's first run. Grounded to short. Luke Kim gets the hustling runner, but Woodridge does take the lead. Again, Mendoza, a walk, a stolen base, an E2, and the Blue Devils have a 1-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the second inning. Tommy Aquilina back here with you at the Sugarman Sport Complex. Bottom second. Woodridge 1, Fort Lee nothing. Bridgemen trying to get on the board here, as that is called strike 1 to Jacob Greenberg. 6, 7, 8 due up in the Fort Lee order. Greenberg, Sango, Lasval. Mendoza not wasting any time, dealing strike 2. Walked, advanced on a bunt, stole a base, and scored on Luke Senator's throwing error. That is Woodridge's 1-0 lead, and now Mendoza has a third strikeout of the afternoon. Gets Jacob Greenberg looking. Both Lee and Mendoza have been known this year to issue free passes, but they also can miss bats, and today they've been as advertised. Foul ball off the bat of Nico Sango, hitting 7th in the Fort Lee order, playing first base today. Sango hitting .265 on the year, no homers, 8 runs batted in, and he takes a called strike on the inner half of the plate. Looks like the batters today are going to have to be wary of that inner part of the plate, for right-handed batters at least. That's ball 1 and a 1-2 count on Sango. Mendoza pitching with a lead now here in round 1 of the Bergen County tournament, and Sango fouls that pitch off. The 1-2 pitch. Count levels at 2-2. These teams, Woodridge and Fort Lee, have not played each other since 2011. Been a long time coming for this one. They're meeting here in the opening round of the Bergen County tournament, and that is ball 3. So Sango has battled from 0-2 to 3-2. Mendoza deals, and that's ball 4. Good plate appearance there by Sango. He will reach, and Fort Lee will have a base runner with 1 out, and Gabriel Lasval will be the batter. Lasval playing left field today for Pete Kraljic. One of the left-handed batters in the Fort Lee lineup. And that's called strike 1. Lasval hitting .200 on the season, 0 home runs, but 1 sacrifice fly, and 6 total runs batted in. Ball. Maybell got ready to throw, but Sango not going anywhere. One the count on Fort Lee's number 8 batter. Shows bunt, pulls it back, and it was a little low, so 2-1 the count. Still showing bunt. Pulls it back. That's ball 3. Does it being a 3-1 count change the calculation for the Bridgemen? There's already 1 out, so a sac bunt here is a little risky. That ends up not really mattering, as that's ball 4. Back-to-back walks for Mendoza, and the Bridgemen have a little rally going here. Couple on with 1 out for their number 9 batter. But this is not a situation where you have one of your worst batters towards the bottom of the order. Luke Kim acts as a secondary leadoff hitter for Pete Kraljic, hitting .375, 9 runs batted in on the year, and he's got 2 men on with 1 away, and the Bridgemen trailing by 1. And he gets plunked. Fort Lee doesn't have a hit yet, but they've already had 5 base runners, and right now the bases are loaded with 1 out, and the leadoff man, Stephen Kim, coming to the plate. Looks like Maybell is going to have a chat with his pitcher. Mentioned Mendoza has been wild at times this year, but in a tournament game, you can't really afford to be wild. So 1 time through the Bridgemen order. Again, no hits. And they've struck out 3 times, but they now have 3 walks and a couple hit by pitches. And that'll bring up Stephen Kim with his 16 runs batted in. Way outside. It actually almost puts the Fort Lee batters in a difficult spot because Mendoza's been so wild that you want to be patient, but you also don't want to miss a potentially good pitch. See, that was not a great pitch. That's a good take there by Stephen Kim. It is strike 1, and it's a 1-1 count on Fort Lee's leadoff man. Mendoza still working quickly, and that pitch is fouled off. For pitchers who struggle with their control, it can almost be an issue if they work too quickly. They get themselves sped up, and they have a hard time slowing down and repeating their mechanics. Let's see if that's an issue for Mendoza. Maybe. Count levels off at 2-2. Obviously nowhere to put Stephen Kim. Woodridge also a double play away from getting out of it. Middle infielders are at double play depth. This one is tapped to third. Not hit hard enough for the double play. Throw pulls the first baseman off the bag. So everyone is safe. We'll see how they score that. For now, let's give Stephen Kim a game-tying RBI infield single. No matter how you score it, Stephen Kim does get a run batted in there. Nico Sango scores. We're knotted up at 1, and the bases are still loaded with Luke Senator at the dish. And Fort Lee's catcher takes ball 1. He was plunked his first time up. Takes low and inside, and now ahead in the count, 2-0. A very rare mistake in the top of the second inning by Luke Senator with the throwing error, looking to make up for that here. Bases loaded, 1 away in a tie game, and Luke Senator patiently takes ball 3. Do you green light him here on 3-0? I wouldn't, but it's certainly a route you could take. He was, in fact, turned loose, and he fouls that pitch off. 3-1 the count. Mendoza sets and unsets. And now here we go. I don't think that hit him. I believe that's ball 4. So, Luke Senator will reach. It is yet another base on balls for the Bridgemen, and give Luke Senator a run batted in. A bases loaded walk. Lasval scores. Fort Lee has their first lead of the day. It's 2-1 Bridgemen. Bases remain juiced, and now it's Christopher Kim in the batter's box. Low. Mendoza having a whale of a time finding the zone here in the bottom of the second inning. Misses inside, misses outside there. 2-0 the count on Chris Kim. Fort Lee going base to base. There's still nowhere to put Kim. This one is grounded to second, or to short. Can they turn 2? Yes, they can. Nicely done. 6-3. Jack Caprio to Jake Wall at first. But the Bridgemen do, in fact, take the lead. A game-tying infield single for Stephen Kim, a bases-loaded walk for Luke Senator, and we'll head to the third inning with the Bridgemen leading this one 2-1. Third inning about to be underway here at the Sugarman Sport Complex. Bradley Lee still out there, now working with a lead for the first time today. And he deals called strike one to Nick Scalera, the center fielder and ninth batter in Mike Karsich's lineup. This one on a few hops to second. Stephen Kim couldn't get much on that throw. That'll be an infield single for Scalera. So he'll reach, and that will send us back to the top of the Woodridge order. Jack Caprio just turned a nice 6-3 double play to end the second inning. Caprio is 1 for 1, and now he'll bat here with the potential game-tying run at first base. That's strike one on Caprio. The stirrups-wearing shortstop and leadoff man for the Blue Devils. He'll take inside. The two hits for Woodridge so far, Caprio's to lead off the game, and that infield single you just saw from Scalera. This pitch to Caprio is low and in, so it'll be a 2-1 count. Fort Lee leading this Bergen County Tournament opening game, 2-1 here in the third. Runner going, pitch, swing, and a miss. Did he get a piece of that? I don't believe he did. So it's a swinging strike, but gives Scalera the stolen base. Runner in scoring position now. 2-2 count on Caprio. And the count will go full. Luke Kim trying to keep the runner close at second. Lee dealing the payoff pitch. Fouled off. Caprio came into this one hitting over 400 on the season, and that average has gone up so far today. The payoff pitch with the runner not going. We'll do it again. There is action in the Woodridge bullpen. We'll see who comes out to pitch the third inning. Bradley Lee going to try to get us to the bottom of the third, with Fort Lee up by 1 as Caprio continues to battle. Lee looks at the runner on second. Swing and a miss! Caprio furious with himself, but he's gone on strikes. So 1 out now and a runner on second base, and that'll bring up Nick Prado. A .310 batting average coming into this one. A strikeout victim his first time up, and he takes called strike 1 there. Bunting here would be an odd choice. Not bunting, and he takes high. 1-1 the count. Doesn't get the call on that one. It'll be a 2-1 count on Nick Prado, the number 2 batter for Mike Karsich and the second baseman today. And there's called strike 2. Lee deals. Swing and a miss. Oh, what a pitch. No hope on that one for Prado. 5 Ks today for Bradley Lee. There are now 2 away for Jake Wall. Ball 1 to Wall, who struck out looking in the first inning. Swinging strike there, 1-1 the count. Obviously, the threat of taking third is there, but for Lee, there's really no reason to focus on the runner at this point. Swing and a miss. Blew that one by Jake Wall. Lee looking to get out of the third inning after allowing the leadoff man to reach. Runner going. Swung on and missed. No hope for Wall. Bradley Lee strikes out the side in the third inning. We will head to the bottom of the third inning. I want to give another shout out to our Fort Lee Bridgemen Athletics sponsors. The Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, the Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doru Electric, the Bridgemen Basketball Camp, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me, Connect One Bank, the Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, the Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Thank you to our sponsors. It will be Lucas Mendoza out there for a third inning of work, and Fort Lee in the bottom of the third will look to add to their 2-1 lead. That's going to be strike one on Jack Dorcom. Leading off the bottom of the third inning, he and the Bridgemen will look to expand upon their one-run lead. Dorcom, CJ Senator, and Jacob Greenberg, 4, 5, 6 due up in the Fort Lee order here in the third, as that pitch is a called strike. Dorcom not really sure what he's supposed to do with that pitch, but he's got to protect now, down in the count 0-2. And he'll tap this one to short. Caprio. Nice stretch at first by Wall. And Dorcom is retired. Mendoza has gotten the first batter out in each of the first 3 innings now, but in both of the first 2, Fort Lee did in fact mount a rally. They got a couple base runners in the first, and then last inning, they only had 1 hit, but they scored 2 runs. CJ Senator, down in the count 0-1. He struck out his first time up. That's a called strike on the outside corner. Mendoza. Swing and a miss. Senator way over the top of that pitch in the dirt. They will complete the 2-3 putout. And there's 2 away. So that brings up Greenberg. Called strike 1. On a hop to short. Caprio. Not caught by Wall. In and out of his glove. Might have to give the inside of that glove another spray with one of those sticky lubricants. Wall with the E3. And Greenberg will reach. So a chance at a 1-2-3 inning. And now this pitch is tapped to short. Caprio vacated the area, but Nick Prado is there. Caprio went to cover on the steal. Prado handles it. So Nico Sango grounds out 5-3. Wall does hang on to that one. And we are through 3 innings. Fort Lee 2, Woodridge 1 in round 1 of the Bergen County Tournament. Back for the 4th inning of play. Bradley Lee and the Bridgemen leading Woodridge 2-1. That pitch is fouled off by Nick Maybell. 4-5-6 due up in the Woodridge lineup. Bradley Lee gave up a leadoff single and then struck out the next 3 batters he faced last inning. This pitch is shot the other way. Nico Sango is there. That's a foul ball. It's a fair ball. It's a fair ball. Nico Sango, 3 unassisted. Actually, the second time today, Maybell has grounded out to Sango. So 1 out for Mendoza, the pitcher and 5-hitter. High. Mendoza has helped himself out. He has Woodridge's only run. He walked, advanced on a sac bunt, stole third, and scored on a throwing error. And that is called strike 2, I believe. Or strike 1. So it should be a 1-1 count on Mendoza. Lee pitching to his pitching counterpart. Mendoza shows bunt. Somehow does not get hit by that pitch. And no, it's a 3-0 count. Strike 1 clips the inside corner. So a 3-1 count now on Mendoza. Called strike 2. Bradley Lee working quickly. Will Luke Kim get on the fly? No, he won't. On one hop, fires over to first. Low throw. Good play by Nico Sango. Score that 6-3. So Sango is flashing the leather this inning. Now it's going to be Mike Prado. 2 out, nobody on, and that's ball 1. Bradley Lee looking for a 1-2-3 4th inning. Moves Prado off the plate, 2-0. Called strike, makes it a 2-1 count. The Fort Lee right-hander deals. That's too far inside. Prado kind of jackknifed out of the way. And it'll be a 3-1 count. Fouled the other way. And it'll be a 3-2 count on Prado. Looking to get a 2-out rally started for Woodridge. Lee deals ball 4. Second walk of the afternoon. So a 2-out walk, that will bring up Dominic Bellini, the designated hitter. Struck out his first time up, now 6 for 11 on the season. And he'll take ball 1. He'll take strike 1, and it's a 1-1 count. Runner not going. Slide step from Lee, and this one is grounded weakly to short. Luke Kim will flip to Stephen Kim at second base for the short out, and we're halfway through. Bradley Lee looks really good today. Maybe not quite as good as the other day when he threw a no-hitter, but through 4, he's only allowed 1 run. Through 3.5, Fort Lee has a 2-1 lead on Woodridge. Tommy Aquilina welcoming you back at the Sugarman Sport Complex. The Fort Lee Bridgemen lead the Woodridge Blue Devils 2-1 halfway through this opening round game in the Bergen County Tournament. That's strike 1. Lucas Mendoza still out there. He is now pitching to Gabriel Lasval. That's ball 1. It's going to be 8-9-1 in the Fort Lee order. Lasval, Luke Kim, and then Stephen Kim. Lasval scored the go-ahead run for Fort Lee in the second inning. He walked, and then he was on third base when Luke Senator drew a bases-loaded walk. Lasval now ahead in the count, 2-1. Big swing and a miss. For all the guys Mendoza's put on base, he's only allowed 2 runs in 3 innings. He's kept Woodridge in this one. Going to try to get them to the 5th inning, still down by just 1. Lasval sends it foul down the first baseline. Umpire was right there. So we'll do another 2-2 pitch. All 3 runs in this one scored in the 2nd inning. Woodridge took the lead. Fort Lee came back with 2 runs in the bottom of the inning. No runs in the 3rd. Here we are in the bottom of the 4th. Fort Lee looking to add to their 1-run advantage. The count has gone full on Gabe Lasval. Swing and a miss. Good pitch from Mendez. That is his 5th strikeout of the day. So Lasval's out of there. That'll bring up Luke Kim. He was plunked by Mendoza his first time up. Mendoza with 5 strikeouts, but also 2 hit batters today, and he's walked 4. Ahead of Luke Kim, 0-1 here. Swinging and missing at the high heat is Luke Kim. He's down in the count, 0-2. Mendoza changing the eye level. It'll be a 1-2 count on Fort Lee's number 9 batter. Count goes to 2-2. Way upstairs, and it's a full count. Payoff pitch is sent in the air to left. Initially coming in, which is what you're supposed to do, is Jacob Metcalf. He backs up and makes the play. It's a fly out to left for Luke Kim. And with 2 gone and nobody on, we'll go back to the top of the Bridgemen order. Stephen Kim is... It was a weird play. Let's say it was an infield single. So he's 1 for 2 with 1 RBI today. Stephen Kim with 17 runs batted in now on the year. This is Fort Lee's 16th game. Their first county tournament game. They're leading 2-1. Pitch was inside to Stephen Kim. This pitch is grounded to short. Caprio gobbles it up, throws over to first. Nice stretch by Jake Wall. We're through 4. Fort Lee holding on to a 2-1 lead. To the 5th inning we go. Bradley Lee still protecting a 2-1 lead for the Bridgemen. And he deals ball 1 to Jacob Metcalf. 8-9-1 due up in the Woodridge order. Called strike near the lettering shoulder area. A little bit of a high strike. It's a 1-1 count on Metcalf, who grounded out to short his first time up. Bradley Lee drops in a breaking ball there. It's a 1-2 count. Lee's 1-2. Sent in the air to left. And making the grab is Gabe Lasval. Nice play. That's now 3 innings in a row. Bradley Lee has retired the leadoff man. He'll deal with Nick Scalera now. Scalera takes high. Mike Karsich's number 9 batter singled his first time up. He stole a base. He was stranded, and Woodridge doesn't have a hit since then. They have just one base runner. Scalera ahead in the count 2-0 here. Thinks about bunting for a second, which is an interesting call. He basically just gives up a strike. 2-1 the count. 2-1 the lead for the Bridgemen. 1 out, nobody on. This one is shot the other way. Foul. Two the count on Scalera. Called strike 3. Pretty much right down the pipe. That is the 7th strikeout for Bradley Lee. Sends us back to the top of the Woodridge order. Jack Caprio, 1 for 2 with a strikeout today. Ball 1. Strike 1 to Caprio. Lee went 5 innings a few days ago. That was in a mercy rule win. Trying to get through 5 here and trying to give Fort Lee a 1-run lead through 5. It's a 2-1 count on Caprio. Ball 3. Fort Lee has won 2 in a row. Like I said, they swept Dumont on the season, looking for a 3rd straight win. That's a called strike. Woodridge also won their most recent game. They played yesterday, actually. They played Butler, and they crushed them 13-2. They went 2-0 against division rival Butler this year. This one is sent to left. It's deep, but it's also a foul ball. It will remain a full count on Caprio. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 8 strikeouts through 5 fantastic innings for Bradley Lee. And the Bridgemen lead Woodridge 2-1. Will go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Time for the bottom of the 5th inning here at the Sugarman Sport Complex. Ball 1. Lucas Mendoza is still out there, pitching to Luke Senator right now. 2, 3, 4 due up in the Fort Lee order. And Luke Senator shoots this one up the middle for a base hit. It splits the outfielders. He's going for 2. No one's covering second. Luke Senator will be in there with a leadoff stand-up double. I believe that is Luke Senator's 101st career varsity hit. It's a 2-bagger, his team leading 11th double of the year. He now has a hit by pitch, a walk, and a double today. Fort Lee, they don't need to, but they would certainly like to extend this 1-run lead. Christopher Kim is the batter, and he grounds this pitch foul. DHing today, Kim is 0 for 2. Middle infielders both trying to keep Luke Senator close, not being pinch run for. Mendoza deals ball 1 to Chris Kim. Mendoza, a couple peeks at second, wheels around and throws almost into the outfield. Good defensive play there by Nick Prado to keep that one in the infield. Keeps Luke Senator at second. Shot the other way, not handled by Wall. Luke Senator is going to be held up. That's a hit for Wall, but he's having all kinds of problems catching the ball, which is a problem when you're playing first base. Chris Kim reaches, runners on the corners with nobody out for the Bridgemen, and they already lead by 1. Pete Kraljic is, in fact, going to pinch run for the designated hitter Kim here. So regardless of whether that's a hit or an error, regardless of who the runner is, it's first and third, nobody out for Fort Lee as they look to expand upon this 1-run lead. Runner at first not going. He can walk to second. That's a wild pitch. Luke Senator can walk home, and he does. Wild pitch from Mendoza. Senator scores. It's 3-1 Fort Lee. Now a runner on second with nobody out. 1 run in for Dorcom. He'll ground this one to short. The runner will advance. Caprio takes care of that one 6-3. So 1 out. Runner on third now. And Fort Lee up by 2. This is a good song CJ Senator is walking up to. Luke Senator's younger brother will step to the plate. A couple strikeouts today. He will bat with 1 out and a runner on third. Mike Karsich has drawn his infield in. With the way Bradley Lee has pitched, you feel like you probably can't really afford to go down much more than the 2 runs you're down if you're Woodridge. Called strike to CJ Senator. It's an 0-1 count. Sends this one to the outfield. Catch is made in right. Is it deep enough for the runner to score? Yes, it is. That's a sacrifice fly for CJ Senator. Again, that was not Christopher Kim, but it is a run for Fort Lee. Their 4 runs now have come on a bases-loaded Well, okay, so an RBI infield single, a bases loaded walk by Luke Senator, a wild pitch that allowed Luke Senator to score just now, and that sac fly from CJ Senator. Bases now empty. The lead has expanded from 1 to 3, and with nobody on and 2 outs, Jacob Greenberg now has himself a 2-0 count. Greenberg with a strikeout and then a reach on an E3. Now ahead in the count 3-0. Called strike on the outside corner. And from 3-0 to 3-2. So down 1-0, Fort Lee scores 2 runs in the second. They've now added 2 here in the fifth. Greenberg batting with a full count and nobody on. Ball 4. So Greenberg will reach safely for the first time today, and that will bring up Nico Sango. Looks like Mendoza is going to stay out there for Mike Karsich. Sango will step to the plate, 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. Sent to third, play is made on the fly by Mike Prado. But Fort Lee, like I said, the lead goes from 1 to 3. We'll head to the 6th inning, and Woodridge now 6 outs away from a loss here in the first round of the Bergen County Tournament. We're back for the 6th inning of play. Bunt is dropped, and it will roll foul before Jack Dorcom is on it. We have a new pitcher for the Bridgemen. Bradley Lee was fantastic for 5, and now I believe this is James Aino on the mound. That's got to be a balk, right? No, was time called? Looks like it was. Aino to deal an 0-1 pitch. Inside to Nick Prado. 2-3-4 due up in the Woodridge order. That one is fouled off. Woodridge running out of time here to make something happen. They're now down by 3. The right-handed Aino deals. Sent the other way. Nice play by Stephen Kim. Sticks with it, finishes the play off. Score that 4-3. That'll bring up Wall. Prado struck out both of the times that he faced Bradley Lee. So did Wall. He takes, I believe that was called a strike. Grounded in the hole for a base hit. Not much Dorcom could do there. It's a single into left for Wall. That'll bring up Maybell with 1 on and 1 out. Fort Lee 5 defensive outs away from a win in the opening round of the Bergen County tournament. They won in the first round last year. As this pitch is sent to right. Jacob Greenberg back and it's over his head. One hops the Wall. Wall just getting to second now. It is going to be a long single for Maybell. Wall gets into third just ahead of the throw. So runners on the corners now with 1 out, and Woodridge will send the tying run to the plate. Trailing by 3, it will be Mendoza. Still the official pitcher for Woodridge, and he has scored their only run of the day. Take outside here. Mendoza 0 for 1 with a walk, a stolen base, and a run scored. Again, he is the tying run. Middle infield at double play depth for the Bridgemen, but this one is sent in the air to right. Jacob Greenberg has it, makes the catch, Wall tagging, the throw home is in time! They got him! Jacob Greenberg with the outfield assist. It's a 9-2 double play, and we're through 6 innings. Fort Lee still leading by 3. Now 3 defensive outs away from a Bergen County tournament opening win. Bottom of the 6th inning coming up at the Sugarman Sport Complex. What a fantastic play to end that top of the 6th inning. Jacob Greenberg making the catch in right, and then a pretty perfect throw to throw out the runner. And that's a costly out to make on the bases or heading home when you're trailing by multiple runs late in a tournament game. Score that 9-2. It's now an 0-2 count on Lasval, Fort Lee's number 8 batter, hitting here with the Bridgemen up by 3 in the bottom of the 6th inning. And good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Lasval has gone swinging. No contact day for him. 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. Mendoza's still out there. When you're pitching, you are facing the opposing pitcher. Bradley Lee has outdueled Mendoza, but Mendoza lasts longer. Lee goes 5, gives up 1. James Aino with a scoreless 6th inning. Mendoza still pitching here for Woodridge. Pitching to Luke Kim, and he deals a ball. Lee, again, did just pitch a few days ago, throwing that 5-inning no-hitter against Dumont. That was April 29th, so literally only 3 days ago. Then 5 innings today. He's in line for the win in this Bergen County tournament opening game. It's a 2-1 count on Luke Kim, and it's a 3-1 count. I don't know how he didn't get hit by that pitch. He's already been plunked by Mendoza. He's 0 for 1. Count will go full. Fort Lee 1/2 inning away from advancing to the second round of the Bergen County tournament. Last year, Fort Lee with a round 1 win over Bergenfield. They hosted that game as well and came away with a 10-7 victory. That was ball 4 to Luke Kim, so he'll take first, and it looks like that is going to do it for Lucas Mendoza. Meeting on the mound. Could have been better, could have been worse for Mendoza. He certainly kept Woodridge in the game, and his coach is going to leave him in this game with 1 out and 1 on. Mendoza will face Stephen Kim for a 4th time this afternoon. Stephen Kim is 1 for 3 with 1 run batted in. That is a strike because Kim could not check his swing. So pitch out of the zone. He went around. It's an 0-1 count. Doesn't offer at that one, and it's a 1-1 count. Luke Kim was not running on that one. Mendoza working quickly, almost a little bit of a slide step there. Didn't really work. It's a 2-1 count now on Stephen Kim. The very dangerous Luke Senator on deck. Grounded, foul. Fort Lee trying to open this one up. Worst case scenario, they'll be up by 3. Only needing 3 outs. It'll probably be James Aino looking to finish this one off. Ball 3. Full count with 1 out and 1 on. We'll do it again. Woodridge also made the Bergen County tournament last year. Fort Lee won the first round, and then a really good game at Don Bosco last year. They lost in the round of 16, 2-1 in 8 innings. Woodridge lost in the first round of the Bergen County tournament last year. They got routed 13-2 at Northern Highlands. A better game today, but they are trailing. They trail 4-1. Stephen Kim was just walked, and that will do it for Mendoza. Take a quick break. Woodridge will bring in their second pitcher of the day. Fort Lee looking to add to a 3-run lead late in this one. 2 on, 1 out. Fort Lee up by 3. Luke Senator is the batter, and after Mendoza goes 5 1/3, he gives way to Jack Caprio. First pitch from Caprio is a ball, so he goes from shortstop to the mound. The 2 runners on base are Mendoza's responsibility. It's up to Caprio to keep this one close and give the Blue Devils a fighting chance in the top of the 7th inning. Like the idea there, the throw over to second does not work. Luke Kim at second, Stephen Kim at first. Both runners going. Pitch is taken. Throw not nearly in time. Nick Prado does a good job, or rather Mike Prado does a good job just to keep that one from going into the outfield. A double steal. And now 2 runners in scoring position for Luke Senator. Mendoza could not get him out. Plunked him, walked him, and gave up a double. Up the middle. Off the glove of Woodridge's new shortstop. Luke Kim scores. Stephen Kim will be held up at third. It's an RBI single for Luke Senator. Fort Lee's lead is 5-1. That is Nick Prado now playing shortstop, number 8. Ball went off of his glove. Infield is in for Woodridge. Runners on the corners, 1 out. They throw over to first. Christopher Kim is the batter. He is 1 for 3. He was pinch run for when he reached last time. That runner scored a run. Kim just fouled off that pitch. Senator was, in fact, going. The 0-1 pitch. Senator not going. Shot to center. Over the head of the center fielder. Might have been off his glove. 1 run in. Luke Senator will stop at third. It's an RBI double for Chris Kim. Fort Lee can taste it now. They lead this one 6-1. And they might not be done either. Chris Kim getting pinch run for. 2 runners in scoring position. Still just 1 out. And their cleanup man will bat. Going to be Jack Dorcom. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Those 2 runs are both charged to Mendoza. Off the top of my head, not positive how many were earned versus unearned, but Mendoza gives up 6 total runs in 5 1/3 innings of work. Jack Dorcom looks at ball 1. Popped up. It'll make the outfield grass. Who's going to get that one? The center fielder will. Ball came out on the transfer there. That is a clean catch for Nick Scalera. So Dorcom is gone. The runner on third scored on that one. Not a very deep fly ball at all. This is actually the second game in a row that a shallow fly ball by Dorcom saw a runner attempt to go. Woodridge is going back to the dugout. So Woodridge feels like they got a third out somewhere. I'm not sure if that was the runner they doubled up on second. Well, now both teams are in their respective dugouts, so I believe that it's a 6-1 score. Either way, looks like the 6th inning is over. So, we'll head to the 7th. Fort Lee has expanded their lead to 5. And last lick's coming up for Woodridge. They need to put a 5 spot on the board. Maybe a 6 spot, but I think a 5 spot on the board in order to send this one to the bottom of the 7th inning. And Pete Kraljic has sent a third pitcher out there. That should be Luke Kim. Tommy Aquilina back with you at the Sugarman Sport Complex. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping there. So that was an F8. The ball was dropped on the transfer. It's a fly out for Dorcom, and then the umpires ruled that either the runner on third didn't tag or left too early on a tag attempt. So it was a shallow fly ball, not a sac fly this time for Dorcom. Woodridge appealed that the runner, again, either didn't tag or tagged early. So a wacky kind of double play there. Woodridge gets lucky. Now they have to put 5 runs on the board. 6-1 Bridgemen. James Aino goes 1 inning. No runs on 2 hits, no walks, and no strikeouts. Luke Kim will look to finish this one off. He has a 5-run lead to work with, so this is not a save situation, but Kim is trying to send Fort Lee directly to the next round in the Bergen County tournament. Meanwhile, Aino has taken over at short, and it's now a 1-1 count on Jake Wall. No, I lied, on Mike Prado. 1-1 the count on Mike Prado. He is 0 for 1 with a walk. Luke Kim deals. Grounded the other way, grounded foul. Kim does have 2 saves on the season for the Bridgemen. He's 1-0 on the year. Looking to finish this one off and send Fort Lee to the next round of the Bergen County tournament. Sent the other way again. It'll remain a 1-2 count on Prado. 6, 7, 8 due up for Woodridge. Their last hope here in the opening round of the Bergen County tournament. Barely got a piece of that one. Mike Prado stays alive. Prado and then Bellini and Metcalf due up for Mike Karsich. Time called by Prado. Now he's back in the box. Takes upstairs. Two the count on Prado. It'll remain 2-2. Bradley Lee in line for the win for the Bridgemen. If they hang on, he went 5, 1 run allowed on 2 hits, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. He was fantastic. Just inside on the 2-2 pitch. The inside corner has been given to the pitchers a lot so far today. Not there. The payoff pitch is low. Ball 4. So a leadoff walk with Fort Lee up by 5. Obviously, Woodridge needs base runners on base runners. 1 on, nobody out. It'll be Dominic Bellini. 0 for 2. Takes a ball outside. Can't imagine why Prado would even be thinking of advancing on anything other than a hit or a walk here. In a 3-run game, that 9-2 double play where Jacob Greenberg made a perfect throw home to nab the runner looms large. Fort Lee has now expanded the lead to 5. They've scored 6 unanswered. On a couple hops, Stephen Kim, nice flip to short for 1. On to first. They cannot turn the double play, but they get the lead runner. Score that 4-6. 1 gone, 1 on for Woodridge. So now it'll be Metcalf, the number 8 batter for Woodridge. Hitting here with 1 on and 1 out against Luke Kim. Called strike 1. Metcalf is 0 for 2. In the air, it gets past Dorcom and goes into left field. That's a base hit for Metcalf. Bellini will not advance because he's being pinch run for. That pinch runner goes to second. Now, 2 on with 1 out for Woodridge. And here is Nick Scalera, the center fielder, taking strike 1. Scalera is 1 for 2 with a stolen base today. Backs out of the way of that one. It's a 1-1 count. Luke Kim deals. Strike 2. The 1-2 pitch. Good hold there by Scalera. It's a 2-2 count. And Kim deals. Tapped softly. Kim going to go to first. Underhands it to Nico Sango. Score that 1-3. And Fort Lee is 1 out away from advancing. Obviously, Fort Lee will take that, but the runners do advance. So now we have a couple guys on second and third for Woodridge. Jack Caprio, the shortstop and pitcher, leadoff batter for Mike Karsich, getting a 4th plate appearance today. He is Woodridge's last hope. And he takes ball 1. Caprio, a single and a couple strikeouts today. That was all against Bradley Lee. Grounded to second. This'll do it. Stephen Kim to Nico Sango and the Fort Lee Bridgemen advance in the first round of the Bergen County Tournament. They get a convincing win over Woodridge, 6-1. Pitching really was the name of the game in this one. Guys had some good games, also pitching and defense. That 9-2 double play was gigantic, but the Fort Lee pitchers gave up basically nothing. 5 innings, 1 run for Bradley Lee, who will get the win, a scoreless inning each for James Aino and Luke Kim, and Pete Kraljic's Bridgemen get the win on a sunny Saturday afternoon. 13-3 on the year. We will see now who they face in the next round of the Bergen County Tournament. Meanwhile, Woodridge will continue on with their regular season. This tournament is over for them. They fall to 12-7 overall on the year. Want to give one more shout out to our proud Fort Lee Bridgemen Athletics sponsors: the Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, the Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doru Electric, the Bridgemen Basketball Camp, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me, Connect One Bank, the Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, the Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Thanks going all around, Fort Lee Athletic Director Michael Raftery, Dimitri Nanis for everything he does, our sponsors, you, our viewers, thank you so much. Once again, I'm Tommy Aquilina saying Fort Lee beats Woodridge in the opening round of the Bergen County Tournament 6-1. Have a great one, everybody. We will see you for the next game.